Good morning. It is day 10 of the federal trial against Sean Diddy Combs. Let's get into what we know thus far from today. Today, testifying and called to the stand is Capricorn Clark, the former director of marketing for Sean Diddy Combs. Clark is the 17th witness called by the prosecution. Assistant U.S. Attorney Mitzi Steiner is the one questioning her. Now, Clark said she had been involved in the music industry since shortly after graduating high school when she landed an internship with Def Jam Records. She said both of her parents died shortly after that, which meant she had to start life a lot earlier. After Def Jam, she worked for Death Row Records, which Suge Knight then managed. Around 2004, she started working for Combs at Bad Boy Entertainment, according to her testimony. On her first day working for Combs in 2004, Clark said he took her to Central Park with his security guard sometime after 9 p.m. Eastern Time. There, he brought up her former employment with Death Row Records, which was founded by Combs' rival, Suge Knight. She said, and I quote, "He told me that he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happened, he would have to kill me." The security guard stood by silently while Combs threatened her, according to Clark. She said she told Combs at the time, and I quote, "We'll just have to see." She then testified that she felt she couldn't convince him that she was trustworthy at the time, and she could have been more transparent about her employment background. When Clark was his personal assistant, she said that she heard him discuss guns once, according to her testimony. Clark, Combs, and his then manager got into an elevator after Combs did an MTV event with rapper 50 Cent, according to her testimony. Combs told them that he had an issue with 50 Cent, and after further conversation, Combs said, "I don't do that. I like guns," Clark testified. Combs' demeanor was very serious. One time, Combs accused Clark of stealing diamond jewelry that was on loan to him from a jeweler, according to the testimony of Clark. Clark had been assigned to hold the jewelry as they traveled from New York to Miami. She realized the bag holding the jewelry was missing before they got to the airport. Combs went to Miami, leaving Clark with a security guard who questioned her for hours and then searched her apartment. The next day, the security guard picked her up from her home and left her in a locked, vacant office space with another man who administered a lie detector test on her. Clark testified that the man told her at the time that if she failed the test, "They're going to throw you in the East River." She described him as very wide, but never learned his name. Clark saw Combs doing ecstasy and Molly about once a week in addition to prescription medication. Combs' drug use increased over time, according to her testimony. A man called One Stop usually provided the drug when they were in LA, and the drugs usually were delivered to her or to Combs directly, she said. Combs asked her to get him ecstasy fewer than 10 times, according to her testimony. Clark saw Combs offer drugs to his friends and girlfriends. During a trip to France in 2006, Combs asked her to get cocaine, and when she asked Combs who it was for, Combs responded that it wasn't for him. Clark then had the security guards obtain the drugs. Clark would also get prescription drugs for Combs. Sometimes the prescriptions were made out to her, and other times they were made out to Combs, according to her testimony. We'll continue with more in part 2 that will be linked in the comments. Part 2. Capricorn Clark, the former director of marketing for Sean Diddy Combs, recalled a time when Combs had 100,000 euros that he made from club bookings in Europe. Clark said she personally counted the cash for Combs and believed he kept it in his personal safe in his bedroom. Clark recounted a time she was at Combs' Miami home in the summer of 2006. She said that when she arrived, Combs told her, and I quote, "I don't care what goes on this weekend. You are not to leave this house." Combs later directed Clark to escort a guest to another location in Miami, and she said she stayed for about an hour before receiving a call from Combs asking where she was. She said when she returned to Combs' home, he told her, and I quote, "See, your problem is you want a life, and you can't have that here," and again told her not to leave the house. I don't think he knows the difference between an employee and a slave. The following day, Clark said she told Combs' chef, "I hate it here," and the chef relayed that to Combs. Damn. He immediately looked at me and said, "You hate it here?" And he charged at me, Clark testified. She said Combs began pushing her and demanding she get out of his house. Clark said Combs pushed her about 30 yards using about 75% of his force, she said. Eventually, one of Combs' security guards intervened by telling Combs to stop and telling Clark to go pack her belongings. Clark testified she left her job after the incident because it was crossing my boundary. In 2011, Clark was also managing Ventura as her creative director. Combs had final approval over everything, according to Clark's testimony, including Ventura's physical appearance and every opportunity Ventura could or could not take. Clark stated that Combs had. Oh, I'm sorry. Clark, Ventura, and Kid Cudi sometimes would hang out, she stated. One time, Ventura texted her asking if they could pick up Kid Cudi, and Clark told Ventura to delete the text because Combs paid for both of their phones. Clark said that she was very concerned about Combs finding out about the relationship between Ventura and Kid Cudi. Clark then took Ventura to Best Buy to buy a burner phone, per her testimony. Clark's voice was quivering through much of her testimony this morning. She has been describing what it was to work for Sean Combs. And that is what we know thus far. When more information comes through, I'll bring it to you. As always, let me know what you think in the comments.